Oh hi. So today's video will be my very first movie review, and I'm kind of excited to start doing this on a regular basis. I don't know if I want to do it weekly or monthly, probably weekly, because then I get to watch more movies more often. So real simple how I'm going to do the movie reviews. I will give you information about the movie, the plot line, and actors, of course. That falls in information. Anyway, the plot line, what I liked about the movie, what I didn't like about the movie, and there'll be like little sub-points as well with that. Unfortunately, I think some movies will have more dislikes than likes, and hopefully, fortunately, vice versa. And then I will also give kind of like my overview of the movie, final thoughts with it, and then of course, to keep it simple, 5-star rating. I could do like something cute later on down the line, like how many bunnies? I don't know. Do we like bunnies that much? I do like bunnies. But I don't know enough to rate things in bunnies. On a scale of 1 to bunnies, how much do I like it? I have my little notepad and everything. Believe me, when I watch a movie, I will write notes about it. Even before I wanted to do reviews, I would research and look up and find out everything I could about said movie. But with wanting to do reviews now to put on the internets, I kind of want to go in as unbiased as possible, I want to say. So I really didn't look into anything about this movie, didn't read anything about it until I kind of wrote down my initial thoughts and then I started looking at it. So this little notebook here are initial thoughts of my movie ideas. It's not my movie at all. It's initial thoughts of the movie and what I thought about it. So the movie that we are reviewing today is The Forest, a 2016 film by Jason Zada. Zada? Zada? Zada. I don't know. Jason Zada. It actually is his feature film debut. I think the biggest thing on his resume on IMDb was that he was a writer for House's October Built. But this is his feature film debut, and I will get into that later. The film stars Natalie Dormer. I think we all know her from Game of Thrones fame. And then also her co-star was Taylor Kinney, and he is a TV actor from Chicago Fire. And then there's a third character, the man who plays Ichi, which is Yukiyoshi Ozawa. I'm probably just butchering his name, and I'm sorry if I am. And this is actually his English film debut, which is that's actually pretty cool. I like it when those things happen. That's pretty neat. So the plot line of the movie is Natalie Dormer plays identical twin sisters. The main sister is Sarah, that's the one we follow around, and the other sister's name is Jess. Natalie Dormer seems to, Sarah in this movie really seems to have her shit together, and she has this really negative dream feeling about her sister who is studying abroad in Japan. When she tries to get in touch with her sister, she can't. When she finds out more information about it, is that Jess was seen walking into Aokigahara Forest. Aokigahara Forest, also known as the Sea of Trees, is more commonly known as the suicide forest in Japan that sits at the base of Mount Fuji. So most people assume, you know, when Sarah talks to the police, they say she dead. Sarah refuses to believe that, and she goes to Japan to look for her sister. So Sarah goes to Japan to prove she's not dead, and in the process you figure out why Sarah has such a protective hold over Jess, and then also you kind of figure out more about their past, which does have some dark turns in it as well. So my likes about the movie, and I will not be doing spoilers as well. I don't believe reviews should have spoilers unless I was doing like a full movie discussion. But my movie reviews will not have spoilers in them. Nothing that you can't find out on the internet about The Forest itself. So what I liked about the film was there was a lot of accuracy about the script. Basically, whoever did write about the forest actually didn't just go, "Ooh, spooky forest, let's, make it super scary." It looks like they actually did a little bit of research on the forest itself, which is kind of nice to see because it's so easily found online, and if you're like me and you're kind of into more morbid things, you kind of know about it already. When they talk about things that happened in the forest, they really did. According to folklore in the 18th century, they used to practice something called ubasute, and I believe I'm pronouncing that right, but basically it's during hard times, so like famine and drought, people would basically thin the herds, and they would get rid of their sick, their elderly, and their young children sometimes, who most likely were sick at the time anyway. They would get rid of them into the forest, and Aokigahara Forest is said to be one of those places where they practiced ubasute. The path's entrance to the forest itself does have signs reminding people, hey, you have families and probably people who care about you, and also signs giving information about suicide prevention. So that part is true as well. When they talk about their compasses, compasses really don't actually work very well in Aokigahara Forest because of all the magnetic iron around, so it just messes with the compass, and that's something that a lot of hikers and tourists do encounter. People police and forest workers, and sometimes even volunteers, actually do body scouts to find anyone who did complete their mission in the forest. So they really will go and search for people and bodies and bring them back for burial. Forest workers do have kind of the worst job, and they will have to cut down the bodies, and there actually are some service stations that have places beneath to store the bodies of the dead, and someone actually does have to sit or stay the night with them because they are believed to be extremely troubled and they will scream throughout the night. So that, when they talk about that, that actually is true. People will also leave ribbons through the forest to either, one, if they decide not to go through with the deed, they can find their way back out. And if they do decide to go through with the deed, someone most likely will end up finding their body. So the forest itself, in like the main entrance, like the beginning of the forest, does have a lot of ribbons and kind of trash markers, basically. Anything someone could use as a marker is found in the kind of like near the edge of the forest. So I did enjoy that whenever they were in the forest, it was extremely quiet. Because it's called the Sea of Trees for a reason. The trees are so dense that they do cut out all outside sound, and daylight is not, even daylight can barely penetrate the forest. So I did like that whenever you were in the forest, it was very quiet, and if you did hear anything, it was mainly just birds and echoes of their own voices. So I thought that was well done. But that all falls under, I think the best thing that I could say about it was the accuracy of the lore of the forest and actual things that happen in the forest too. Unfortunately, what I didn't like about it, there's a bit more. I think the number one thing with this movie is that it shouldn't have been a horror movie. I feel that it was ignorant almost to make it a jump scare horror movie. I'm not saying that they should not have done a movie about this forest. Definitely, that's not what I find wrong with it. I think it would have done better as maybe a dark drama where you still tell the story that you want to tell, but not in such a spooky way. I feel like the spookiness comes off as ignorance, and that's mainly to say, and I say that mainly because Aokigahara Forest is known as the suicide forest for a reason. Japan has an insanely high suicide rate, one of the highest in the world, and I believe it was 2008? 2003 or 2008, I can't remember off the top of my head. They found 108 bodies alone from suicide victims. So this place for a lot of people is definitely an option. Like I said, I feel like the movie should have been a drama. A dark drama more so than a spooky ghost story horror. Probably something similar to Antichrist, which was, it can be considered a horror movie in that it's realistic horror, but it was done as a drama, and it was a beautiful and difficult movie to watch, and it said everything it needed to say. I feel like this movie could have tried harder, mainly because I don't think they were purposefully being disrespectful, but I feel like it comes off as ignorant. I'm not saying, like I said, suicide is something that should not be put in films. It's an everyday real-life horror that we face. Most likely we've all been touched by the horror of suicide. And so, yes, it kind of belongs in a horror movie or a dark drama. But this place is still so active. It's still an option for people, and I feel like it shouldn't have been a movie in the way that it was. I feel like they should have approached it differently. The second problem I have with it is poor character development, and what gets me is that Natalie Dormer is an amazing actress, and I'm not fangirling over her because honestly, I don't really watch Game of Thrones. So I don't know much about her from that. But she is such a strong actress, and it comes off blatantly clear in this movie, and I feel like they missed a chance with her. I feel like if they had gone in the more dark drama direction, they really could have used her correctly. But that's, you know, we never really find out who anyone is. We do know that Sarah and Jess have the dark history, but that's all you get, and I feel like they rely on the fact that they're identical twins and the mysticism that surrounds identical twins. Well, you know, they just had this dark past. There you go. You never know who anyone is. And that is really frustrating because I don't care so much about the characters then. Like, I just don't care. Getting onto gimmicks, I wasn't a fan of the gimmicky Japan is weird stuff that they put in the movie. We already know that she's not from there. They tried to show Japan as like this really weird place. And I'm not saying that Japan doesn't have its weird areas. I love them because they do. But everywhere is weird. Just everywhere is weird. So I feel like they played on that whole thing like, hey, you know, Japanese people are weird, their food is weird, their cities are weird, their people are weird, and it's just not. That got annoying really fast. I think the last thing that kind of gets me is just when I think about this movie being written and put into production and being talked about and the scripts and everyone who touched this movie, it bothers me that one person didn't say, hey, maybe we should have approached this differently. And I feel like enough people touched this script where they saw it, and I just feel like they felt like suicide sells, man. Like, hey, suicide is money. And I'm just, you could have had a fantastic dark drama which could edge into the horror field, but instead you went for gimmicks and the whole, oh, suicide forest. I feel like they really missed the mark, and that just gets me all the time. Overview of the movie, if we can't really tell already, I'm on the fence with it. I feel I would have liked it better if it was a drama, because the way it was portrayed, while not blatantly disrespectful, I did feel like there was a lot of ignorance from it. I feel like they seriously missed the mark with Natalie Dormer. I feel like they didn't utilize her the best way they could. I did like that they were so accurate with a lot of their points about Akigahara Forest. I feel like I like that they actually at least researched the forest. I would say the directing style was very obviously a first-time director. He definitely has the artistic eye, but I wouldn't look for his movies in the future. I think overall, I would give the movie a 2.5 out of 5 stars, 2.5-ish, because I like the research. The scenery was really nice. I don't believe they actually filmed in the forest. I believe they filmed in Serbia. I would not be surprised if Japan said, hey, no, you're not filming a movie in the forest. You're running around all willy-nilly in there. But I just feel like they missed the mark. And maybe I'm being too sensitive with the idea of them not taking suicide seriously, but once again, it's an active place for people actively looking to end their lives. It's not something in the past, it's not something that may or may not be true, it's something that most likely today someone has decided to kill themselves there. So I feel like it was just approached wrong. So that's my review of The Forest. I hope I was not too mean, but I'm just being honest. If you have differing opinions, let me know in the comments. I always love seeing different viewpoints, especially when it comes to horror. We all interpret it so differently. So let me know what you think about the movie if you've seen it in the comments below. Like this video if you like at least the format of the review, or if you like the review in general. Give me a thumbs up if you would. That would let me know very much so if you liked what you saw today. And don't forget to subscribe, because I would like to make this a part of my channel as often as I can, because I love watching movies. And if you have any suggestions for movies, let me know. Well, as always, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Etsy, and buy all my weird things that I make, all under Grotesca Media. I'll have the links down below as well. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope I will see you next time for another one. Let's talk about movies more. This is fun. I like it. Okay, bye.